Hey, welcome to Burning Metal. This is your humble host and Forge Master Gmetal, back on the mic, ready to drop more knowledge and power to everyone who's creative. In fact, today's episode is all about being creative and anyone who wants to step into the field of creativity. So get near your forges, start lighting the fire, because this whole session's going to be about creating and what they mean to you. Let's start the forge! Now, the best thing to start off with is, why do people who like to create? That is a big question, because at the end of the day, you are gonna be you and do whatever you're gonna do. Long way around that is this. As a creative, you want to consistently push what you want to put out in the world. The best way to express it is the Mahatma Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see. And I think that is what every creative really does think about. If they want to see something change in a particular way, they will put it into the art form and passion in such a way that will inspire others. There are also people who are storytellers are people who just love to tell stories. Their story, someone else's story, your mom's story, your dog's story. Stories are stories. Because each one, you may have not even lived, but you could have told that story in such a way that others can feel the essence of it. When you watch a great movie, sometimes you don't even need to hear the words. I once actually seen The Notebook, didn't hear it once, but I cried in it. Storytellers are very special people. They know how to communicate a lot of things, and if you're that kind of creator, go out there and tell stories. Your story or anyone else's you want to put out there, because you can definitely make money and touch a lot of people's lives with that kind of ability. Finally, I really just think creativity is a freeing activity. When you do something creative, it frees your mind of a burden that you once had or have been having for a while, right? You're just consistently trying to let it go. And you're just consistently trying to let it go and fighting for it and fighting for it and fighting for it. I think creativity is a freeing liberation from life problems in a way that allows you to think on how to solve them in real life. Let's cool the blade. Now, guys, I want to talk about my inspirations of making this podcast. This podcast has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. It's taught me patience, frustration. This is like my second attempt trying to make this podcast, because I had this whole thing made out and finished, and then it died on me. I don't know what happened. I have to pick up on what exactly happened on it, but this is my second attempt, and I still love it. So I'm going to talk about my inspirations on why I want to do this podcast. My first real inspiration for this was Joe Budden. Joe Budden put together a great podcast his whole message I've gotten from it is go out there and put together what you can. Control your content, right? That's his whole message. Control your content. And then he does a bunch of other fun stuff where it's just consistently him joking around, talking about music, talking about artists. But for me, I always took control your content. So this is what I've gained from listening to a Joe Budden podcast. Joe Budden is funny. He gives you a message, and that is the best part. Probably my second one now would definitely have to be Batman Metal and Death Metal. Now, the reasoning I say this is probably one of my second biggest one, most likely, is because my whole life I've been into rock music, I've been into metal music, but I wasn't always around it all the time. I was always more in a church environment or a rap environment, and it was always weird. None of my friends ever were into rock music again. And growing up, I finally got to be around it again, made a couple of new friends, just listened to it all by myself. It's a chance at rediscovering what I like and what I want to be portrayed as in the public or on the internet, stuff like that. And Batman Metal was one of those things. One, the story was very creative in how they did it, but the imagery and how the story is being told was just so cool. I'm just like, man, that's so cool. And then I found out they had 6 songs they made from Batman Metal that were just all great songs. There was one that was less great than the other 5, but they were just really good, different types of rock music. Some were heavier metal, some were like more alternative, but they were great songs, especially coming from a comic book company that doesn't need to put that much effort into something. The creativity of Batman Metal brought the creativity to me, plus the love of metal again. My final inspiration was Call Her Daddy the podcast. Now, you may be wondering, why is Burning Metal inspired by Call Her Daddy? It's really because of the authenticity of that podcast and the potential of it collapsing and it reviving, and I just love the story. I listen to the podcast now religiously. It's a great podcast, but it's a message she's trying to tell, but also the fun she has telling all these stories, right? She's telling a story with inspiration, with life, and I'm just, really entertained by it because it's creative and something that I'm not really into. Alex just does it perfectly, and I think she is the reason why Call Her Daddy works. It's not the topics, it's nothing of where she works and how people help her. It's the way she tells the story she wants to tell, and I think that's the part that I take from it. Let's grind. There are other reasons to have a podcast, and some of my reasons are kind of more selfish reasons that I've always wanted to talk about stuff. I've always liked talking about things, and sometimes people may misconstrue what I say from time to time. So what I thought about, maybe at least on the topics I care about, let me put them on a podcast. That way, no one can misconstrue what I say about that at least. And that's what it is. Putting out my thoughts and putting it on the internet for everyone to see. That's a kind of scary of a thought, but if you really, really want to think about it, that is the best kind of thought. The one that's out there and that people can judge and potentially misconstrued, but at least people know exactly what you said. Now, what's an interesting thing is a podcast seems very basic, right? You just talk into a mic, take out some sound effects, and you're good, right? Nah, it's not that easy. You have to come up with a topic every week to make sure people have something to listen to other than you just saying the same thing every week. Another thing is, talking to a mic is kind of like weird, because you will say things you're not normally saying, or at least you don't hear yourself saying, and then you now have to correct yourself and listen to yourself talk as much as you can. And it's kind of weird because you're not used to hearing your own voice repeated back at you. So, really is definitely a whole new way to express yourself, and it's a fun way, I would honestly have to say, because you start thinking about not just how you talk, it's the words you use, and it makes you a better speaker for sure. The love of rock music is another big thing that really has pushed me here, right? So it's been there my entire life, but I never fully expressed it enough. Only when I'm listening to music, I guess, but never shown it in other ways that I normally would show other things. So now I'm getting back into rock music. I've been out it for a while, honestly, because for multiple reasons I'll get into probably another podcast, but I'm back into it. I want to express it in another way, and this podcast is just one way to do it, because who doesn't like metal? Metal is such a great way of music. I love metal. I love rock. I love the messages that it gives. It's one of the best ever. Now, I am going to say the word metal a couple times, you know what I'm saying? But when I'm not referring to metal music, to me, what metal really does mean is to be yourself and just kill it, right? So when I'm saying something's metal, I'm saying it's killing it, or it's being itself, or in that capacity, right? So whenever you hear me say it, that's what I mean, because that's the way Gmetal burns. Let's test the fires. In today's time and day, I really do think, now, it's not even an opinion, it's a fact that internet makes money. The internet makes money in podcasts, video games, YouTube videos, just anything and everything makes money. And guess what? This is a way for everyone to make money, right? Everyone to get a voice out. Your voice matters in America, so much so that you can get paid for it. It's not just getting paid, but that is a big thing as well. You can make money off this stuff. Why should you be a creator? Because you could work without working a day in your life. That is what people say. If you love what you do, you're not working a day in your life. That is an important factor to this creation and meaning. Because if you're working on something you love and you're putting meaning and passion behind it, you will never hit that I want to leave my job phase. It takes time and effort in all actuality, but it really is worth the time and effort because people are out here doing it on something they love. They're putting passion behind their creativity. Hence, they're not just doing jobs, they're living their dreams in some way, shape, or form, or funding their dreams in a funner way. And I really do think that's an important factor of life. Not everything has to be fun, but if you can do something fun, then why not do it? Also, if you ever wanted to be famous or considered the greatest of your craft, it's not hard nowadays. Before, it just used to be back when the industry controlled who was the best, right? It was TV studios, it was recording labels, it was all these people deciding who was the best. Now, internet and the people who go on internet control that, right? And I think you could become the next big thing if you want to be the next big thing. Just put yourself out there, test your luck, and the rewards are great. You get money, you get some influence, and you become an influencer. Influencers are controlling the world right now. Look at David Dobrik. David Dobrik has become a man who Hollywood has to go to now. They have to go to him, not the other way around. And I think that is the kind of power that if you work on your craft long enough, you will be able to reach some point in time like that. Hard work and passion will get you good results. I'm gonna be honest here, right? Doing these podcasts, I hope one day someone listening to these gets inspired and does something for themselves. Maybe it's not rock related or nerd related, but they put the idea out that their creativity matters to the world, right? That they go out and do it. And I think not only that, but you as well could be someone else's hero or idol that they look up to, and change their lifestyle, and change their motives, and change the way they look at the world. That is an inspirational thing all on its own. Just think about it. You're someone's hero now. You don't always want to be someone's hero, but if your creativity can inspire others to go out in the world and venture off and be the best they can be, and be the most metal they can be, that is the best feeling in life. Forger's Last Steps. We live in a special time that I would actually say. If we live in this time period where anyone's voice can be heard, then it's the best time to be creative because we get to say our voices, our stories, our opinions, everything that matters to us can and will be heard at someone by some point. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where. This gives us plenty of opportunity to make a business out of it. This gives us plenty of opportunity to let people know how we feel. It's one of the best feelings you can have, doing something you want to do. It takes time and effort, but you, as a creator, can put something out with a creative meaning. So just learn the skills and talents you need for your craft. I'm podcasting, so I'm learning how to speak better. I'm learning how to edit audio. Sooner or later, I'm going to learn how to edit video pretty soon. It's going to be one whole big thing right there. So it's going to be a fun time. And excuse the car sound you just probably heard. But it's going to be a great time for any creator. If you really, really want to get better at something, you have to take the heat. The heat will get to you. Any great sword is forged in fire. Just learn how to deal with the heat and you will be fine. If you're someone like me who finds that there are people out there who aren't being super creative, they're just staying in the box, right? They're staying within the 4 boxes their company allows them to stay in, then go out there and create. You don't have to, you can complain a little bit about what they do, but then go out there and create what you think is better. product. Not only will you learn that it's a difficult process, but the process makes you better. It forges your own skill into something worthwhile to hire or to develop into something better and bigger, right? You can be bigger and better. Forge your own skills in the process that you need to forge them into, and you will become someone of note and worthiness of whatever fame and success you will ever hit. That is the whole point of being a creative person with a meaningful message who has the skill to show it out. The forge is finished. Show your passion, guys. Share your passion with the world, and I guarantee you, someone in the world will be inspired by you. If you just want to show a message and show it out, people will respond in time. You just have to learn how to put it out there and make sure it reaches enough people. As a creator myself, I am doing the best I can to improve myself. There are so many facets to just doing a podcast that it's just so... You just never thought you would have to put so many steps into one activity. So if you want to make a podcast, start it, because only then will you start seeing the complications of doing a podcast. If you want to do YouTube videos, I'm sure it's the same process, just different steps, right? Everything has steps and processes. You just have to go through them so you know how to beat them in the future. And I think every creative person who has something to say will say it, but you need to learn the process first. That way, when you have the right message to put out there, you do it in a way that resonates with the most amount of people. Grab life by the horn, man. Be as metal as you can be right now, and then in the future, you will have something that people want from you, right? You will have the knowledge, the wisdom, the experience. You will have it in time. So just go out there, grab the bull by the horns, kick it in the face, bring it to its knees, whatever you have to do to get to your end game. Thanks for coming to the podcast, guys. I love doing these things, not just for me, but I want to hope one day someone listens to these and they also get inspired. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Gmetal is very happy that he was able to give a forge for you guys. And always remember, stay metal all the time.